What is up, guys? Welcome to episode 7 of This is Boston Baseball podcast brought to you by B Clutch Sportswear. We got another fantastic show for you guys tonight featuring our special guest, Nate Charette, president of the Cranberry Baseball League. Nate's leadership and vision have helped shape one of the most respected leagues in the region, and we look forward to hearing his thoughts on the past season and what's in store for the future with the Cranberry Baseball League, which has been around since 1960, I believe. Joining me tonight are my co-hosts, Omar Ortiz, and a familiar face, Mr. Rob Ferrand, who was our guest back in episode 2, and we're excited to have him back to close out the 2024 year with us. But before we get started, I need to give a happy birthday shout out to my sister Rach. Today's her birthday. Hope you had a great day. Love you. I also want to take the opportunity to thank our listeners, guests, and extended baseball family. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa. This will be our final show of 2024, so Happy New Year to everybody. And thank you for your support so far. We look forward to what's in store in 2025. Now, unfortunately, tonight's episode is bittersweet because as we must acknowledge the recent heartbreaking loss of a true baseball icon. I'm sure you all know by now that Rickey Henderson, one of the greatest players to ever step on a diamond, has passed away. And he wasn't just a Hall of Famer. I mean, he was a game changer. He redefined the leadoff position, and he'll leave a legacy that inspired generations to come. And we'll honor his memory and impact on the game later in the show. But allow me to bring in my co-hosts, Omar Ortiz and Mr. Rob Ferrand. Let me unmute them. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
What's going on, fellas?
What's up?
Rickey, man, that's a tough one. That's a tough one for baseball. I mean,
Dan, before we move forward, Daniel.
Yes, sir.
I'm disappointed, bro.
I couldn't.
Oh, there it is. There it is. He knows. There he is.
I almost forgot.
Sorry, brother. Continue.
No, I thank you for calling that out. I mean,
hey, I wouldn't call you out as many times as you call me out. I'll call you out.
But yeah, I mean, I remember growing up, watching Rickey with the A's for many years, and obviously play with the Red Sox for a little bit. But yeah, I mean, what he did for the game was pretty incredible. It's a big loss. And I figured we had to talk about it. As much as we want this to be an exciting episode, I mean, you can't not, talk about it.
Out of respect to one of the best, like you said, one of the greatest players to ever play the game, you have to give him his flowers, And it's ironic that last week we were just talking about him as well. We're talking about how he steals bases and would it be relevant to today's game and how much a player like that deserves his flowers and the credit. And maybe if he played in this era, he wouldn't be recognized like he was in our era. Rickey Henderson changed the game. I think the closest person to him is Marte. He used to play for Pittsburgh. I think he's in the Mets now. He has like 1,000-something RBI, stolen bases. He's still like 1,000 away or some crazy number, and to watch that man play, he was the first player that I always remember too on another aspect of the game. Batted righty, threw lefty. You see usually guys that throw righty and bat lefty. Like, that's rare when you see something like that.
He's also got the most runs ever scored. Right? Doesn't he have the runs, the most runs ever, career, all time?
Hold on, I'm gonna get his stats. Rob, how you feel about Rickey Henderson?
I mean, growing up watching him, he was just a dynamic player, and everyone in the stadium knew he was stealing, and he still stole 100 bases a season. So yeah. I think in today's day, who knows what he could do? Because back then, you could throw the ball over 15 times when he was on first base if you wanted to. Now you get 2 per batter.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say that. Imagine now.
Yeah, I mean,
He would.
dude, and I'll tell you, I was actually talking to somebody at the brewery about this the other day when he passed away, and that my favorite thing about him was how he always talked in the third person, and no matter who he was talking to, he was always talking in the third person. And he, I remember hearing a couple stories about him. One was when he played for the Padres. He called up the general manager. I can't remember his name, and he's like, "What his name was?" He like, "This is Ricky calling on behalf of Ricky. I just want to play baseball." And
he was the man.
I want to say he was playing for the Yankees, maybe, and he broke his leg like early in the year, so he didn't play the whole season. And I want to say like Harold Reynolds or somebody won the stolen base record on the last day of the season, and he stole like 60 bases. And Ricky Henderson called him up and said, "You proud of that?" Ricky would have had 100, would have had 60 by the All-Star break, but he always talked in the third person, and that always used to crack me up.
He was like the Larry Bird of baseball, right? Talking trash.
Think about this. He played 25 years in the major leagues.
Yeah.
He played in damn near every team in the major leagues, too. And just to bring back the stolen base record, he has 1,406 stolen bases.
That's crazy.
The next player close to him is 938. And any player that's currently playing that's anywhere near him, look, I got to keep going. Hold on.
Is his name Zach Santamaro?
No, not that guy.
Oh.
He would say he is, but no.
Right.
Wait. Damn. I can't even find it right now. That's how deep the list is. But think about that. Like, there's no one even remotely near what he accomplished, you know?
Yeah.
And not just that. I think he has the all-time leading record of leadoff home runs.
I think you might right.
First inning.
I'm pretty sure definitely for a season, I think he leads. He has the record for leadoff homers. But when he passed away, funny, Dan mentioned Zach. Zach was the first person I thought about, and I sent him a text and asked if he was doing okay. He was the first person I thought about.
Yeah. I'm trying to. It's unbelievable, man. And I didn't think he was gonna die so young. He was always in great shape.
Yeah.
From what we saw, he was one of the best athletes. So to play baseball for 25 years, that takes a toll on your body.
How old was he?
So I think 65.
65.
Oh, wow.
No, I think I want to say he was 66, but even so, like Omar said, he was in great shape. And
yeah,
I'll still remember him for catching the routine fly balls and doing the snap of the glove.
Yeah.
We have a guy on our BBA team that does that, and but the only
he drops it though.
He drops the ball.
But how many kids emulated that? Like
when he causes us games.
You're right, and you're right, Dan. A lot of people. If you see that today, you won't see it much from the younger generation. They're too busy wearing those stupid oven mitts. But if you look like we grew up, kids were doing that. Like they would catch a fly ball and they would do that snap, and it was Ricky Henderson. And
you make a good point. How many more stolen bases would he have had he have the oven mitt? It definitely is an advantage. No, seriously though,
it makes you faster.
It gives you an extra inch or two, which is huge.
I mean, but you look at today too with the rules not being able to throw over, the bigger bases. Who knows how many he could have had nowadays? Ohtani had 60 something, and he's like not even half the base runner that Ricky Henderson was.
But it's not just that; it's the rules.
Yeah,
you throw twice over, that man's going to take a huge lead.
Yep, because you can't throw over again.
But even the first two of them, he's going to take a huge lead to make you throw over there. And the third one, he's gone.
Yep.
And he's going.
And he's going. And he's going. And the way he played the game, he always gave it 100%. And he's what the game, in my opinion, today is missing. Ricky Henderson gave it his all the time. Ricky Henderson changed the game. Ricky Henderson had personality.
Yeah.
We don't have personality in the game no more. Now you do personality, they call you cocky, they do this, they do that. But I was with the radio. I remember this when he had the interview. But on the radio, they reminded me. He was like, "Yeah, you're talking to the best player of all time." When he beat the stolen base record, he was the base here. They interviewed him, and he's saying he's the best. He's the greatest of all time. And think about it. He's the greatest at what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do that now, you're gonna be scrutinized. Oh, who this guy think he is? Hold on, who think he is? You know, and it's like we're missing that spike, that funk, that getting the game exciting. You know, when Barry Bonds was playing, the game was exciting. Granted, he took whatever he took. He is still the best hitter to ever face this planet.
I mean, that was the most exciting time of baseball, with steroids or not. I mean, but yeah, I mean, and I think when you go back to amateur baseball, can you guys think of players that pretty much were an automatic double when they would get on base because you knew they were going to steal. And
Matthew Deeb,
Matt Deeb, Josue comes to mind.
Nah, Matt Deeb is on his own planet.
Deeb, you thought he was that fast?
Deeb is not about fast. He knew how to steal bases.
Yeah,
Deeb would be the type of guy. He will hit the ball in the infield. He will always make it to first, no matter where it is. He'll hit it back to the pitcher, and he'll make it to first.
He also had that lefty.
He knew how to play the game. So, and his when he used to steal the bases off the pitchers. Like even before the pitcher even throws the ball, he was already gone.
Yeah, I call him.
Because you have to be smart.
I call him every year to see if he wants to play 38s, but maybe. Maybe.
I sent him his text once in a while. I send him text once in a while.
Yeah.
I gotta stay in touch with my old White Sox guys.
Because, a lot of the teams I played for, anyone that got on was an automatic double, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, when Rob gets on first, that's an automatic triple. What are you talking about? That's automatic triple.
Yeah,
he gets on third quick.
If there's a terrible catch when the ball goes by him twice.
Listen, I remember when I stole 2 bases in 1 inning, everyone, like, the whole game stopped. They were like, what the hell just happened?
Well, that's because you always have a runner. We stick the fast guys in front of you.
Yeah, no, I cheat the system.
That's another topic.
Hey, we need listen, before we bring in our next guest, we need to talk about rules.
Yeah.
Amateur baseball rules. I feel like that's a good topic that no one really talks about.
Yep.
And maybe I know we don't have that on the agenda, but maybe we could bring it up to Nate to see how he feels about certain rules. Like I know we have our own rules, the CHBL, the BBA, BNBL has their own rules. North Shore League has their own rules. Like, should it be a universal rule? Like everybody in Boston plays by the same rules?
Well, I'm guessing they don't have a courtesy runner because I think they're an 18+ league.
Yeah, they probably don't. I mean, we can't take away the courtesy runner.
Well, but a lot of people don't like that rule actually. A
lot of people don't like a lot of stuff.
It's true.
A lot of people don't like us wearing sunglasses, and I think we look pretty good on. Shouts to you guys. We look good.
I agree, and our guest, Nate Charette, came in with sunglasses. I mean,
yes, he did.
You got to give him credit for that.
We got to bring him in now.
Should we bring him in?
Right away.
All right, guys. Welcome to the show. President of the
Oh, he's sideways. Wow.
I didn't do that. I think you did that.
My phone hasn't even moved.
You better turn it. Well, now your
You better open that door first. You better open that door.
Anyways.
Nate Charette, just the Amazon guy.
Welcome to the broadcast.
It's all right. It's a new guy.
Thanks for being here. How are you, sir?
Very good, gentlemen. Merry Christmas, and glad to be on the show. Looking forward to it.
Same to you. Merry Christmas. Was I right? And that the Cranberry Baseball League has been around since 1960?
Correct.
Listen, Nate, I appreciate you coming on the show. I appreciate you wearing your sunglasses. It shows that you're a cool guy.
I love that Rob is sideways.
You're going to fit in well with this group. We're going to have some fun tonight. We're going to have some fun.
I did nothing.
No, listen. I tell Dan every week, we got to have some fun with this. Dan is too boring. Like, he's just like, we're going to go straight to... No, let's have some fun.
What am I do, jumping jacks? What do you want me to do?
You should do. Maybe some push-ups.
Hey, I'm all for it. Hopefully I can contribute to this today, guys.
I
Hey,
appreciate you,
hey,
brother.
out of curiosity, what was the opening theme for today? Theme song.
I don't like it.
What was it
There's a
though?
lot Omar doesn't like, apparently.
Yeah, and we gotta fix it.
Hey, Rob, there you go. Welcome back.
I'm back
There he
here.
is.
If we're gonna do a sunglasses thing, you can come in with cheap sunglasses by ZZ Top or
No, someone actually. It's so funny you say that. One of my buddies recommended that, but the whole copyright thing, yeah, you'd have to get like permission
Yeah, but
and
Nate,
all
I'd,
that.
I'd lean more towards I wear my sunglasses at night.
I was thinking that
Corey
too.
Hart, very nice one.
Yeah,
I wear my sunglasses at night.
nah, it's so funny you said
Listen,
ZZ Top because
but you also this Nate, listen to me, please, sir. We also have to understand who's on this show. I don't listen to that. I don't listen to that type of music, so we
you're
have to
outnumbered.
be able. I don't care. That's irrelevant to me, brother. At the end of the day, I'm an equal opportunity employer. We all got to get along.
Equal Opportunity Podcast.
Yeah, equal opportunity podcast. And we got to get my man feeling comfortable. And I got to feel comfortable. Rob got to feel comfortable. Dan got to feel comfortable. So we got to have fun.
Team effort.
Absolutely.
Yes. And we're in baseball, team sport.
So Nate, please tell us about yourself, and if you have anything to say about the whole Ricky Henderson thing, feel free.
Well, I'll tell you, guys. You know, the game I played, I think what I just before I came on, you were talking about, players that you knew of who were an automatic double, when they got on base, and that was pretty much my game. Was stealing bases, getting on base, if I can get on third base with less than 2 outs, so that the guys hitting 2, 3, 4 in the lineup could just hit a sac fly, or just some ground ball. They didn't have to get a hit to drive me in. So, my point being here is that the when I got on the bases, the way I ran the bases, and trying to be intimidating to pitchers, trying to play cat and mouse, really trying to get advanced. Ricky Henderson was my guy. The guy that I watched very closely on things that he did. I mean, you guys remember way back in the day in the 80s and 90s when they used to have the split screen when they anticipated a base runner would steal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you were able to watch Ricky and things that he did, and that's something I watched, very closely as a little kid and a teenager. And when Ricky passed away, I heard yesterday, it was just that was a tough one. That was really a tough one, because when it came to stealing bases, that was my guy. I was just sad to hear him die at such a young age, at 65. And hey, I guess God needs a left fielder.
Oh, nice.
I like that. Well. So are you still playing, Nate? Do you still play, or just?
No, I stopped playing back in 2009. I was 31 at the time, and 4 years later, I got a call from Joe Palucci, who's now the Futures Collegiate Baseball League commissioner, and owner of the PAC, the Patriot Athletic Club in Rockland, the baseball facility. And Joe was president of the Cranberry League at the time, and he called me and says, "Hey, would you like to take on the Brockton Dirt Dogs?" And the Brockton Dirt Dogs in 2012 were 0-24. So, after about a week, we reconvened, and the owner that owned the team at the time was he was very good with the high administrative stuff, and he's a good guy, and so I met with him, agreed to manage the team, and from that point, managing the Cranberry League turned when the owner wanted to give it up. Ron Frazier, also co-owner of the hitting facility in Plymouth, 4x4 from performance enhancement. Ron had already been coaching with each other for about 5 years. So he came aboard with the Mariners. We recruited some young kids, and 4 years later, in 2016, we upset the Braintree White Sox to win the league title and go to the World Series, the AABC World Series. So, unfortunately, I had to give it up after 2023. But I'll tell you, it was a heck of a run. But now the point of emphasis is now at the high school level.
What are you doing at the high school level?
High school level is I've been at 5 different schools, and this coming year I'll be rejoining the Seekonk High School baseball program. Nice. As an assistant coach. I'm also a teacher over there as well. So fortunately, I had been with Seekonk from 2019 to 2023. They're coming off 2 state championships in a row, and was a state finalist in 2022. Fortunately, I was a part of the first championship, and looking forward to this upcoming year with a special group of kids. They're really really good players, really good people.
Okay, so you're involved also with high school and as well as the Cranberry League, correct?
Yeah, the Cranberry League. I'm just have the role as league president now. Gave it the Mariners after 2023, so that's where I am right now, and totally enjoy it.
Well, you say you're just the president, like you're the water boy. That's kind of like I'm just the president, I just walk around. I mean, what made you take the role as Cranberry League president, and what motivated you to take that role
on? Actually, Joe Palucci came to me. I believe it was right at the tail end of the 2017 season, and he asked me if I wanted to take on the whole operation. He told me why he thought I'd be a good fit for it and all that, and passion I had for the league, and I understood the league, Yeah. When what he did do, which was great, was for the 2018 season, he elected to stay on as league commissioner. I'd be league president. He'd handle all the high administrative stuff, and I just had to really worry about baseball operations and perhaps events like a Cranberry Baseball League banquet, although we didn't have a banquet that first year. So that I really enjoyed. And then when Joe gave it up entirely and became the Futures Collegiate Baseball League commissioner, then P.J. Thompson, the owner and manager of the Braintree White Sox, was already vice president of the league. Terrific mind, a visionary, and a guy that can really think outside the box. I also recruited Andrew Poliferno, who at the time was the Canton owner of the Canton A's, and Andrew, I've nicknamed him the glue of the league. He's outstanding with everything that he does. When it comes to the treasurer's type stuff, high administrative stuff, anything financial based on the league, and also if there was anything that I couldn't make a decision on because of maybe a conflict of interest, Andrew could always easily step in and make the decision. And when we did that, fortunately, we were able to keep things going the way Joe had things going in the league.
So, Nate, with obviously a league that's been around since 1960, what do you find like today is your biggest challenge as being like the league president and keeping it running the way it was?
Basically, keeping it the way it was. What I like about it is I'm going to do what I can to be fair. And to all the teams, because players are going to come and go. We're unlike the Boston leagues. I think we're kind of more collegiate based. We're very collegiate heavy. So they're going to come and go. And I'm starting to see more and more that we're having players beyond college age that want to hang around. the Cranberry League. They want to keep playing, which is great. I mean, I really hope that continues to happen. And what I like to do is just focus on the teams, focus on those running the teams, because I understand how difficult it is when it comes to cost, when it comes to, keeping everybody involved with their organizations happy. At the same time, they want to win. So, and it's so hard to win in the league. There's a lot of planning that goes into it, and I understand that with the team. So, I try to be as fair as possible with them. And if there's a team that's having a down season or they're going to be hurting for players, that's a team that I'll come in as president and say, all right, you know what? I'm going to prioritize them a little bit this year. I got to help them. Like whether that means, hey, I heard about this player here. You might want to go after, or here's a phone number for this uh, college coach. He's got some nice young talent coming in. You might want to give him a call. It was advice that Joe Palucci gave me about. He said, when I first started taking on Brockton and the first season we won 3 games. This is coming off the 0-24 season. And he said, you know what, go under the Patriot Ledger, go under the Brockton Enterprise and look for all scholastics in those newspapers and try to get out in front of everybody else and contact them. That's kind of stuff that advice I give to many of the teams. A lot of the teams tell me about, where they are, what they'd like to do, and I just go and give them advice. And I'd like to think good advice because I did what they're currently doing, and know that there's a couple formulas out there that you can do to build your team. I'll use an example. The Plymouth Brewers this year, they were the whipping post of this league since they came in 2019. And this past year, the owner and manager, Joe Cunningham, he just totally kind of changed his team. He just recognized there's a bit of an issue, so he made changes. A whipping post means like all the teams beat up on you, you know. So they were like the last place team for about the 5 years they were in, and then basically he comes. He just kind of made changes to his team. I mean, he and I would have a few conversations, about bounce ideas off me. We just talk about this and the other thing. He made changes to his roster that were needed to be made. He had some really good players come in, and with the Mariners out of the picture now, Plymouth kind of owns the Cape. Any players out on the Cape, that's the closest team to them. So that kind of helped him on a geographic standpoint. And as a result, that team ended up in 4th place going into the regular season this year. So things like that I like seeing with teams in the league. If you're in last place, these owners and managers are doing something to try to get out of the basement and get themselves, somewhere in the middle tier or somewhere in the upper tier and just be competitive. So that's what I try to do to keep the league going the way it is and have it go as smoothly as I can.
So you mentioned winning a championship is hard, and I'd say nobody knows that better than I do. It took me 20 years to finally win, an amateur men's league championship. But the Braintree White Sox seem to have it down pat. They've won, eight in a row? And we were talking about all the champions in the very first episode, actually. We were wondering if 8 in a row was a record for amateur baseball. And I was quickly corrected by a number of the Yawkey League Somerville team that apparently they won 9 in a row. But not to take away what Braintree, the White Sox have done. Well, I mean, what do you think is the secret with them winning every single year?
Well, number one, PJ Thompson, just runs an outstanding organization. He's outstanding when it comes to fundraising. His team has like new gear or a new uniform every single year because of the fundraising that he does. he learned from some very good baseball guys when he first joined them 20 years ago. Uh, and I'd say it just starts with the leadership with him there, and he has some very good guys who are now coaching the team with him, like you know Eric Turgeon, for example. He got up as high as Triple A in the Mets organization, I believe. And Turge has been outstanding working with younger players. They just kind of build a camaraderie over there, and not to mention the talent that they get. They have access to getting many Division One and former Division One ball players, some ex professionals, and that sort of thing. What I think the championship they won this past year was probably the most impressive because they had to get they got younger. Um, you know, we didn't have a tryout this year, so any players that were interested in coming out would text me. I would just have a conversation with the player, find out. I try to act like Scott Boras and figure out, okay, how can I sell you to the rest of the league? We come up with a narrative. I text it to the whole league. I said, if you're interested, contact me, or if the player was okay with giving his number out to all those teams, I would, and they would contact him. PJ this year was like, it seemed like 3 or 4 players. He's like, yeah, we'll take them. And I'm like, really? The Braintree White Sox? Like them recruiting's not an issue, but they were taking these kids that would just basically would normally be at the tryout, and they ended up winning a championship this year. So I think a lot of it's leadership, it's tradition. You got some darn good veteran players mentoring the younger players throughout the season, and that team gets together after games too. I mean, and they build a really nice camaraderie, and I think the young players, even the players that may not be playing that much compared to if they played for a different team in the league, they're getting a heck of an education over there in baseball, and that's something they take back to their college teams.
I feel a lot of the times, like I've watched teams that succeed. I've watched teams that are at the bottom, watch teams at the middle. I think it all starts up top. What the coach, what the managers, what are they willing to do to improve your ball club? Example, I've seen managers that know the right players that get them the right players. That's not going to happen all the time. That you get lucky with that. But then I see other managers that they put in the work. They recruit, they do tryouts, they make sure they talk to their players, they make sure their players reach out to people they know. And those are the guys that are usually successful. Like you said, those guys had the youngest team this championship, but they're at the tryouts, they're doing this. And I think it's the effort of management, because it's not, you don't get lucky. You just have to put the work in, unless you're one of these guys that you come out of high school or college and you got all these connections. But the majority of the successful, from what I've seen, either has a connection to a pipeline to players that come in, or the management work ethic is second to none.
No, you're right. I mean, as a manager myself, yeah, that's definitely true. Curious what Nate thinks about that, but yeah, it really is. And Rob is also managed as well, and it really does come down to how much work does a manager want to put in to make the team better.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, not only putting the work in there. It's about, like Omar says, about having the right players. Like much like the Braintree White Sox, the team that I won my first championship, much like Dan this past year, and our team was just very united. We played for each other. We didn't have these all-star studs that were just killing the league. We played as a team. We did the small things, we did the little things, and we played for each other. We'd hang out after games, and we built basically like a family. And that's how we won. It wasn't about having a team full of all-stars. It's about having the right players that fit together, that enjoy playing the game of baseball together.
And usually those teams full of all-stars don't really go far, because You need you just is chemistry is real. Playing for each other is real. Are first and second, you're the six hitter. Are you gonna bunt to move that guy over to second and third for the guy behind you, or do you want to be the hero to win the game? And that's what I think separates winning teams from teams that don't win. I was a part of the Yawkey League, and I remember those Somerville teams, man. I was a part of one of the best amateur baseball teams ever played in the Yawkey, which was the East Boston Knights, and they killed us in the finals. They killed us because they know how to win. We didn't know how to win. Anybody could win in the regular season. That's easy. But when it comes to the playoffs, now it's a test match, and the winners really win. Those guys showed me, so I'm glad they hit you up about that, Dan, because I knew it was another record. I knew it was them. I just didn't know how many years.
Yeah.
But Somerville, Alabrandis, those guys knew how to win, man.
They did. Yeah, I told you I worked with Matt Deeb, and he'd picking out rings every year. I'd go over to his desk
All the time.
ordering my new ring for this year. But yeah,
Nate, I have a question for you, Nate. So, as you notice, we all notice because we've had guests on the show. A lot of the top tier leagues in Boston are shrinking, and does this concern you as president of the Cranberry League? And do you see some of these leagues as competition? Do you measure yourself compared to them? What do you see? What's going on in the amateur realm right now?
I'm not concerned, at least not for now. And I think it's geographic. I think up in Boston, your leagues have been in competition with each other. I think that in fact, I think that was a big topic of conversation, episode 1 with Dave McKay. And
can you bring it back again, please? Can you bring that part one more time?
I think you talked about that in episode 1 with the Dave McKay episode, where the Boston leagues were. I think Dave talked about that they needed to get together and start working together instead of just trying to pawn each other's players and really try to get one over on the other league. Geographically, we're in a position where we've really branched out, where we've got teams as south as Acushnet, that's near New Bedford, and teams as far out west as Bellingham. That's the Hawk Valley Panthers. Our northern teams are Braintree, and we've got the Northeast Lions, the Situate Stripers, and the Plymouth Brewers, all on Route 3. So
yeah.
So geographically, we're covering very well, and now we just inducted the East Coast Eagles,
okay.
and they look like they're going to be a centralized team in our location. So I think that's part of it. And the other thing too is, I mentioned the Northeast Lions, I mentioned the Hawk Valley Panthers, the East Coast Eagles just got inducted. There's also the Mass Hurricanes, who are based out of their Sunday doubleheaders are in Medfield, and their games during the week are at Durfee High School down in Fall River. There's 4 AAU teams I just mentioned. So these AAU programs, their players are getting to the college age now. So we're entering what I've kind of dubbed the AAU era in the Cranberry League.
Yeah.
And that certainly has more than helped. What I've always told all the, when I was a manager before being a president and now being president, the one thing I've learned is the players are out there.
Yeah.
You just got to go out and find them. You got to find out what you need, and you got to try to, if there's a player that you think fits, go under college rosters. Look for names that might fit what you're doing. Ask players that are currently on your team, hey, this is what I think we need. What do you think we need to do to get there? But they're out there. I mean, I remember my last year with the Mariners, we had to get young once and for all. And I was on college rosters, pretty regularly, looking for pitchers within our region that might be interested in coming down and pitching for us once a week. Um, so if you like we talked about, if the coach and the manager puts in the work, and you're willing to recruit like that, you can get what you need.
Yep.
It's just a question of whether teams are willing to do that.
Yeah.
The idea of, well, we just want players that want to come and play here. They'll contact us. Yeah, that's a thing in the past. That
No.
doesn't work anymore. That doesn't translate. You just got to put in some work. The players are there. The biggest struggle we have is getting people that want to run teams. I think we could easily have 12 teams in our league right now, but we just can't get someone to run it. For example, the Canton A's, it looks like that team is pretty close to folding. We're looking for someone to take on that organization that's been around since the 90s.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, unfortunately, Andrew Poliferno, who's, our league treasurer and commissioner, he's unfortunately had to give it up, and just, we just don't have anybody right now to take it over. So, I mean, if anybody was interested, you pretty much have a ready-made team, and it would be an easy transition. They just got to go out and, raise the money and get the players. But I do feel the players are there. If I had no work managing right now, that's a place I would manage. You go to Canton, you pretty much can, you own that area of the Hockomock League. You have, you have like the western part of the Bay State League and maybe the league above that. There have been kids, players out of, not the Lowell area, but like the Westwood area and out Chelmsford. There have been players out of Chelmsford that have played for Canton. It's really, you can really have draw from a lot of places there.
Yeah.
So, when you get down to it, I'm not worried about our league, but also it's easy for me to say we're in the AAU era now.
Yep.
Yeah, you brought up the AAU era, and I know Joe Comesso very well. That runs the Northeast Lions. I know Mike over at East Coast Eagles. I coach myself at the USA Prime Hitmen. And at one of our tryouts, I actually mentioned to them about the kids that are aging themselves out of our AAU New Balance program. I go, have you guys ever thought about putting a Cranberry League team in? So it's good to know that it's more than just the Northeast Lions, because I knew they did it. I didn't know the Eagles were looking into it. But you're right. I mean, these are, for them too, for the most part, ready-made teams. A lot of times you already have a coach that wants to do it. You have the backing of an AAU program that you can just keep aging kids into the program, as long as you keep up with the 18U teams. And hopefully, I'm hoping our program will look to enter someone in the Cranberry League as these kids get older and go off to college and want to have a place to play when they come back. Now they know they do.
And, and the thing about all those organizations is they already kind of meet the criteria of the league. Like when people contact me about wanting to enter the league, there's certain things I mentor them through about, all right, we need a cover letter, and here are the 3 things you need to highlight. And the thing is, you need to, how are you going to do your fundraising? Okay. How are you going to recruit your players? And then 3, and this is the big one, I'd say this is the most important of the 3, is can you get a field with lights during the week? Like we have Sunday doubleheaders, that's not an issue. But we have that Tuesday and Thursday during the week where can you get a field with lights? Because the 6 p.m. stuff doesn't fly anymore. Canton was the last team where that was acceptable. They were already kind of grandfathered in, and Canton High didn't have lights, but we weren't about to tell them they have to leave Canton High, so they were grandfathered in. So all those teams that I mentioned, the Mass Hurricanes, the Hot Valley Panthers, Northeast Lions, the East Coast Eagles, they already do all 3 of those things, and they do all 3 things well. They have to. So it's an easy transition for them.
I also got to say that your website is just fantastic.
Oh, isn't it? It's
Your
awesome.
web, your web.
Daniel, let's go.
Was that a selfless plug?
I believe it was.
A shameless plug?
No,
He deserves it. He deserves it.
He's earned that one.
No, I'm just joking. I did develop the website. That's the joke. But yeah, cranberryleague.com for those who want to check it out. Yeah.
But I want to ask you a question, Dan. I don't mean to steal your spotlight,
Nope,
right?
good.
So, my man Nate, we spoke. You were saying earlier that the problem in Boston leagues, everyone's competing against each other. Everyone is fighting for the same teams. So, I want to let you know a little bit about what we're doing on this side. We created a couple leagues in Boston, and we're trying to separate ourselves from everyone. Like, we don't go out there and recruit players from teams or teams from leagues, none of that. We create, because we know that there's a big market out there for players that want to play baseball. We're fortunate enough that we have a league similar to yours that's collegiate based. And then we have another one that is just like guys like us that we play college, but we're older now and we can compete and we want to play baseball. What recommendations, what can from your realm, what can you advise us to do? Because I'm going to be honest, when you said about the competition, it's been crazy experience how certain people has tried to stop us from what we're doing when we're just trying to bring more baseball to the people out there. Because, for example, today, it was 10 degrees. I had 13 guys trying out.
Wow. Whoa.
To play baseball. You know what I'm saying? 13 guys trying out. We weren't outside, and we ain't that crazy. But we're in the batting cages, so it's like, what advice do you give us to keep going and understand, like, we have a good message, and we've created something great, and we're not trying to be what they're doing. And we've had other presidents, commissioners, and say, we got to unite and all this. But there's just certain entities that don't want to unite because they're used to what they're doing, and they're nervous about new entities coming in, thinking is going to ruin their situation. When we all know, when you feel comfortable in the league, you ain't going nowhere.
My question is, I have a series of questions I'd have to ask first. Now, I would say is, what can you do to recruit? I mean, are you willing to go into southern New Hampshire to recruit players from New Hampshire to drive all the way down to play a couple times a week, or pitchers, for example? Are they willing to drive down to pitch once a week? Because I think that could be an easy sell. My first question is, how far out on a radius are you recruiting to get guys? Are they all guys like within the city? Are they guys from the North Shore, the South Shore, west of Boston? How far do you branch out? What else? Another thing is, what can you do to sell your team? Like, what do you play on a great field? Because when Ron Frazier and I decided to take over the Brockton team and move it to Bourne, that's how the Mariners name happened, was we were the Bourne Mariners. Mass Maritime was our field. One of the things we talked about is we got to go out and get a top-notch field. It wasn't turf yet, but it was still a collegiate field. So we're like, okay, that's a much easier sell to players that, hey, you're going to be playing on a college field this year. And then when Maritime turned into turf, now we have the best field in the league. That's my next question, and that's something those questions I'm asking. I'm not familiar of what fields you guys play on. I'm not familiar.
Oh yeah, we have great fields. We have access to the better fields out here.
And
we have Frazier, we have World Series, we have English, we got West Roxbury, we have Lawrence High, we have you put him on the spot, but we have a lot of good fields. We got Trump Field, like we have fields that are well-known fields out here, you know. And at the end of the day, like we're not in this to like ruin no one's league. We we're doing something different. Like we're different. Like we're giving our players a ton of exposure, and that's what our bread and butter is. We give our players exposure. We do all our games live. We
Okay.
have highlight videos. All this. What I want to ask you is, what advice you give us when we're dealing with all this negativity around us because we're a new entity coming in.
You know what? I think it's you just need to focus on what you're doing, and the fact that you guys are giving exposure and you're making your games live. That's fantastic. It's geez, too bad maybe you guys were doing this in 2020, but holy mackerel, 2020 when people were at home. You know,
Oh, we
like,
were
wow.
doing it. Yeah, we had live. Oh, our on my team did the Boston Havoc. We had live to like 2018,
That,
and in 2020 we had everybody watching. It was crazy. That was because no everybody was home.
It surprises me that
right.
more leagues don't do it.
And
And that's
that's a good. Dan, give me a second.
sure.
Dan, that's a great. Why aren't all these leagues doing it?
And Nate, I
All
don't know if
it,
you know
all
this,
it.
but Dan's the
Put a
greatest
phone.
broadcaster around.
No, you don't need a broadcaster.
That
Put the
helps.
phone on the back of the fence,
That's all it takes.
and it watches the game. Like, and then you can have somebody on your team every inning, put the score on the comment section, and people engaging. And we're in an era that these players want to be seen.
I
They
mean,
want to be seen. They want to share.
I have broke like 2 phones and 2 iPads, so you have to be prepared with the
Well,
right equipment. But
And you know, I'll tell you, this whole thing about giving your players exposure, that's something I didn't know about. That's something I would say
Yeah.
that you guys certainly you've got to sell the crap out of that,
Yeah.
because that's what makes you different, and that's what you got to focus on. The negativity is going to be there. You know you're going to have to deal with it. You know, I'll tell you, when I first came into the league with Brockton coming back as a manager in 2013. You know, when you're 0-24, nobody wants to play for you. You know,
Nobody.
So it was a big question of like, you know, what can I bring to the players? You know, what's going to make this different? What can I do for them? You know, what's going to make them better going back to school? What's going to put them in a better position to get exposure? What's going to put them in a better position to get a better role with their college team? You know, and that's something that you know you got to focus on. At the time, it was very dog eat dog, and also when you're also in the basement, when you're a basement dweller, you know, it's people are going to rate you like the players that you helped develop. You know, they're going to rate you, and you just gotta find ways to adjust to that. You know, when Ron Frazier and I, after 2013, the team was getting better. We had only won 3 games, but we were at least being competitive with most of the teams we were playing, and it looks like we were trending up. But then we had a couple of new teams come into the league. And then we started losing players left and right. We're getting rated by everybody. So, you know, at that point, what are you going to do what adjustment are you going to make? Because the negativity is going to be there whether you like it or not. So,
of course.
So what Ron and I did was we said, you know what? We're going to get young kids, even kids that are just out of high school. And we ended up getting a lot of the kids we got. Ron and I had a history with, so we knew there was a sense of loyalty there. We said, if we don't want to get rated, this is the direction we need to go in. And you know what? And when Ron and I are both running the team, and we're getting players who we have a history with, you know, all the players on that team, they have their coaches in common, and in some way that brings some kind of unity to the team. You know, more sooner than later. And that's really what kind of happened. And then when we made the move to Bourne, now all the Cape kids wanted to come play in the league because the Cape kids wouldn't play in the summer. unless they were getting like a 10-day contract with the Cape Cod League. They just wouldn't play because it was too much travel. So once we moved the team to Bourne with the players we already had, now we're getting some pretty talented players from the Cape, young players from the Cape, and we just got better and better each year. Built a rapport. So that's how we adjusted it. So what does that mean for you guys? You've got the thing that makes you unique. You just gotta really sell that when you're trying to recruit players. They're gonna want to know, why should I go play for you over this other league? Well, we can give you all this exposure. It's like, okay, great. And if you can really sell it and you follow through with it, you start to, you don't really have to worry about the negativity anymore.
Yeah. I mean, me personally, I don't care about the negativity. I was just trying to see if maybe you give me some pinpoints about some, how to recruit players and doing all this shit. But me personally, Dan knows, Rob knows, the scrutiny we've gone through to create what we've created in just a little bit over a year. It's been amazing because the community of Boston, there's just certain entities that want to bring people down rather than working together, and at the end of the day, I'm the type of person, I'd rather go in my own lane. I don't wish bad on nobody. At the end of the day, we should all be in this for the same reason, is to allow people to play baseball. That's all that is. How can we give some people, kids, teenagers, college players, an opportunity to play baseball and get better and become better people? That's why we do it. At the end of the day, I respect everything that you guys been doing. I've watched you guys for years. You guys continue to grow in an area that all these leagues are shrinking. And listening to you, I understand what's going on. But it's also how in Boston everybody wants to have their own little section, rather than working together. And that's sad in my opinion.
If I was, one thing I would do if I was starting a team in your league tomorrow, and I know I'm going to have this exposure for the players, I'm going to have the GoPros and everything, and the live stream. I'm confident I could find a way to get the players around the Boston area to come in, like the position players, because they tend to be, I'm not going to say they're a dime a dozen, but you can find those. You can find them.
Yeah.
The hardest part is going to get the quality pitching that you need to win your league. And if it's me, I'm going into Southern Maine, I'm going into Southern New Hampshire, and I'm going on college rosters, and I'm looking at saying, okay, who are the New Hampshire kids? Who are the Maine kids? All right, this kid's out of Bangor, Maine. All right, well, that's probably where's Bangor from what's it, about an hour away?
No, 4.
Bangor. I meant Kittery, Maine.
No, Kittery's 45 an hour. Bangor, okay. I'm like, damn. When I was in college at Fisher, we went over to Bangor. That's just far, brother.
No, you're right. That's
like telling a New York player, hey, come down and play for us in Boston on Saturday. You're like, what?
That's a hop, skip, and a jump into New Brunswick.
I like your perspective. I like it. Go ahead. Sorry.
I would be looking for kids that live in Southern Maine, like Kittery, for example. I'd be looking at Manchester, New Hampshire, Dover, Nashua. I'm looking to see, can I get a pitcher out there who's willing to drive an hour, maybe an hour plus, and just tell them, hey, what night works out best for you? You got the ball on that night, and that's what you do. We very nearly almost had one kid from like Central New Hampshire who was willing to come pitch for us once a week. He ended up getting taken for the Futures Collegiate Baseball League, like right at the last minute. But that was in the works, saying like, all right, you're going to pitch on this night, regardless of who we're playing. Just come on down, and we'll get that set up. And I think he had something set up where he had a college teammate already on our team, so he just stay at his college teammate's house, for the night or something like that, and then hike back up the next morning if we needed to. You just got to get a little creative with it. But if it was me, I would be. How many leagues do you have up in those 2 states? I mean, so I'd be looking up there and say, hey, you want to come down to our league? Outstanding competition, really good competition. Will really get you ready for your college season next year. You know?
I appreciate that, brother.
Anytime.
Yeah, there's leagues. There's a bunch of leagues in New Hampshire, right? Men's leagues.
Nah, I played in New Hampshire. There's a couple leagues like it's not the same as
Yeah,
Massachusetts,
yeah, of
and,
course.
and Nate brings up a good point. It's not the same. They don't have the passion we have out here. They don't have the structure. It's not the same type of baseball. And if you can, like he said, if you can find some players that are willing to travel for better baseball and get them better, they'll do it. Absolutely, because the baseball up there is not that good.
So Nate, you
So
didn't
Nate,
realize. No,
go ahead, Dan. I'm sorry.
Nate, you don't realize how much drama there is in Boston baseball, right? You've been able to avoid that all these years, being in the outskirts. I wanted to start my own reality show. I think it would be a hit.
Listen, there's some jealous people out here, man. Like it's crazy. This is
It,
baseball.
A
Like,
lot
what
of
are we
drama.
doing?
A lot
doesn't
of
make
drama.
sense.
It's funny you guys say that. Now when you say like drama, you're talking like serious, like
Oh,
old
that's a whole
school
nother
bench
2 hour
jockeying
show.
and stuff, right?
That's a whole nother show, my friend.
And no, it's like let me ask you this, Nate. Do you look at any league in Boston as a competitor?
Um, in terms of competition or in terms of competition of getting players?
Both.
Okay. In terms of competition, it's kind of a moot point because we don't have any. We don't really have anything to measure that. Joe
Hmm.
Palucci tried. He tried doing a tournament of champions back in 2016, and that was. I'm sorry, 2017. It was like the weekend before Memorial Day in May, and the Lexington Blue Sox won their league, and the North Shore. I forget who the North Shore team was, but there was a couple guys on the team who had once been drafted. Um, the We had all three Boston leagues: the North Shore League, the Cranberry League, and I'm trying to think who the sixth league was. I can't remember if it was the Worcester with Joe Ruth and his Worcester League out there, but there was a sixth league, and we had our tournament champions. As a matter of fact, we had to go up and play the the Somerville Alabrantes at Lowell Catholic on a Friday night.
Oh man.
And that was coming off the championship. My guys were on a major high. It was the first time we saw each other. It was like 0-0 early, and then it turned into a track meet late. And fortunately, we were able to beat them. They were not happy that night.
Yeah.
And then the next day, we got to go up to Beverly to play the North Shore League champions. So we go up there. We win a tight 2-1 game with them. I think the guy that flight out to end the game was like, he was drafted by like the Orioles or something like that. It was kind of like, it was down to the nitty gritty, and hopefully, fortunately, we were able to get him to pop the ball up. So we won 2 games, and so we're like, all right, now we're going to get a home game. We're going to get a home game on Sunday, and we're supposed to play a doubleheader in the league, but since we're in the tournament, we're going to push the doubleheader away. So we're supposed to face the Lexington Blue Sox, but long story short, that game never happened, unfortunately. So there was something in the works years ago. I just think the timing being in, the third week of May, I think that was kind of our biggest issue. And now the Cranberry League, because we got the college kids, we've got to wrap up our season in early August. You guys can go into September with your playoffs. So on a competition standpoint, in terms of ability, it's really been a moot point. I personally would like to see a Massachusetts World Series between all the leagues.
We've talked about that, and I know Omar's been trying to push for that.
It's hard. It's very hard because of the dynamics of all the leagues. It's definitely a conversation I certainly would love to have with Dave McKay and Walter Benson and Joe Ruth and other presidents and anybody else involved who have any kind of interest in just kind of brainstorm on, how can we make this work despite the Cranberry League being a rather young league in the Boston leagues having more older players in the league.
We also got to implement the CHBL. 'Cause we got to. We also got to implement the CHBL. 'Cause 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 we also got to implement the CHBL. CHBL wants the smoke. And I was going to ask you that next. We brought up this trying to bring back the EMAS Classic. Will you be interested?
Sounds like
I would be interested. The only
Don't back out now.
I would be interested, but there's things that we got to talk about offline that it may not be able to be done. Well, I'll tell you right up front.
Hey, we're in a podcast. This is the time to do it.
We are one of our teams in our league are going to go to the NABF regional. We're part of a different federation now, and if we win the regional or we qualify after the regional, we're going to be able to go to the NABF World Series, wherever that's going to be this coming year.
Nice.
It's in all likelihood, it's the White Sox obviously would be the favorite to go, and I know PJ's probably already booked hotel rooms and such. So that's coming early this year. So and because of that, an EMAS Classic, we got to get our season in probably earlier than we're accustomed to, and the trouble with that is we got to make sure that we get at least our 24 games, because we don't want kids coming into the league and they're playing like 18, 20 games, and it's like, all right, now we got the playoffs. Now a team got bounced in 2 games. They paid a ton of money, and they didn't play as many games as we played in the past. So there's some dynamics going on here that I've got to consider. But, any chance that all the leagues can play each other in some way, shape, or form, I always want to talk about that. I mean, ultimately, I'd love to have a Massachusetts World Series and say, who's the best team in Massachusetts on that particular year?
Let's go. I love it.
I like it.
You guys used to compete in the Stan Musial World Series, right?
Correct. And at that time, what used to happen was the North Shore League, so the Boston Leagues weren't involved at that time. The Cranberry League, the Worcester League, and the North Shore League, we would get so many teams qualify. Like the Cranberry League, we'd get 7 teams to qualify out of maybe the 10 that we have in the league. And at that time, and the North Shore would get X amount, Worcester would get X amount based on the total number of teams, and it was great. It was fantastic. It would be the 3rd week of July, and the weather was always hot and sunny. Many times I knew we're traveling up. I think 3 years in a row when I was playing for the Wayne Phillies, we're riding on Ocean Avenue all the way up to Swampscott to play the Swampscott team up there, because they were kind of the juggernaut of the North Shore at the time, so they'd always be hosting. And then the great thing about it was the next day, if we were on the road, we'd have a home game the next day on Sunday. So pretty much no matter what. So double elimination tournament, and it would last about 2 weeks, and if you came, it depends on the criteria. I think towards the end, if you finished in the top 3, you qualified for the New England Regional, and then if you finished in the top 2, you went to the Northeast Regional, and then if you win the Northeast Regional, you go to the World Series. You had to go through, you had to go through quite a gauntlet to get to the World Series back then. Now, it's not quite like that anymore. It's basically win your league, go to a regional, win the regional, go to the World Series. But back then, 20 years ago, it was a ton of fun. And that's something I'd like to see. Whether it can logistically happen, that's going to be a conversation with a room full of people.
Yeah. I feel like that's always the challenge is when, where.
I feel like it's not that hard, but people make it harder than what it's supposed to be.
Personally, I'm speaking for myself here, not for my league. so people might get a little pissed at what I'm about to say. But when we have instead of having our playoffs starting the 3rd or 4th week of July, and we have our best of 3 series, or we have our double elimination. It depends on how much time we have. If all the leagues want to shut down for 2 weeks, and then we go and have our Massachusetts World Series, you know, that's one way I can see it possibly happening.
I think that's one thing that will bring baseball back in Boston,
Without question.
Massachusetts. Absolutely, count us in.
And it's a conversation of getting everybody involved. And by the way, I gotta talk about this with my league first before we get anything in motion here. For all I know, they're watching this podcast right now and just totally screaming obscenities at the screen right now. So,
Joe Peters.
No, but it makes sense. It makes sense. Maybe not take 2 weeks off. Maybe take 10 days off. You know, and get these games in, because really, it's really like 4 or 5, maybe 6 leagues that deserve to be in this sentence.
Now, when we had this tournament way back in the day, they fell on Cranberry days. I think that was one of the things that had to happen. It was going to be a doubleheader on Sunday. It was going to be a Tuesday night and a Thursday night. And you know what? I think there was a compromise. And again, this existed before my time even in the Cranberry League. So I know we played on Saturdays as well. I think that may have been a compromise, saying like, all right, we're going to do Cranberry days, but we're going to do Saturdays too. I think that's more of a question for people who've been in my league, perhaps in the know way before my time.
Why can't we do it like the week of July 4th?
We shut down our league the week of July 4th because
everybody that's the perfect time. Everybody else does. You just keep giving me excuses, Nate. I don't know, brother. I don't know. You don't want that ass whooping.
I mean, he wore sunglasses. We gotta give him some slack.
You let me know. My guys are ready.
Well, the thing with the college kids is we shut that week down because they're just not around. Whether they have to really work because whether they're working in a restaurant
they're not working that week, bro.
They're drinking.
Think about this: if these kids get an opportunity to play in a tournament that is the best tournament in New England, they're gonna want to be a part of it. But we keep making excuses because this is what everyone that we have on this platform, no disrespect, they say no because my guys maybe, but maybe. But we need to bring more excitement to this game, and something like that. Come on.
Here's an idea, because I totally forgot about this. One thing you were able to do back then is let's say the Cranberry League at the time had 10 teams and 7 teams qualified for the Stan Musial tournament. All the teams in the league were able to draft players from those 3 teams that didn't make it. So that's something that could perhaps we could do to assure that teams had enough players.
My man, I'm talking about having the best players of each league playing the tournament. I'm talking about the best Cranberry League, the best Park League, the best Yawkey, the best Inner City, the best CHBL, the best North Shore, and let's get it on.
Oh, and you're not talking about individual teams.
No, I'm talking because you're not going to have an individual team.
It's
impossible. It'll be impossible to do that. But if you have an all-star team representing the Cranberry, the Inner City, North Shore, Yawkey, Park League, CHBL, let's get it on. That would be an amazing event.
And
that's basically the EMAS Classic. And you know what? I think there you go. I mean, perhaps the July 4th weekend would be a thing. But you know what? That's something, the next league meeting that we have in January, that is something that will now make its way on the agenda, saying, hey.
Please do.
Careful, Omar's going to hit you up. He's going to hit you up.
Oh, I'm going to text you. I got your number.
Yeah, don't tell Omar to date you. We get a call right 5 minutes after the meeting.
I'm going to hit you up.
As soon as we end this podcast,
Nate, or we going to play or what?
Number, am I?
Hey, I got a couple numbers. No, but at the end of the day, I feel like, especially on my perspective, we're just trying to bring like excitement back to the game. We're trying to bring different tournaments, different games, different situations, just because we know a lot of these leagues around are falling off, they're shrinking, and these players want excitement. They want different things. Why would you want to play in Boston when you can go to Florida? You know what I mean? Like, That's the stuff that we have to try to figure out because there's a lot of talent in this area,
There is.
and we have to do a better job
Bless you.
promoting promoting the game of baseball in this area.
And Nate, I know you know my guy Chili Davis because he helps out with the Cranberry, one of the teams. So I'll get in his ear and have him talk to you. He's like the mayor.
Perfect guy to talk to. Perfect guy. To talk to.
We gotta have him on.
Guys, I mean, this concept. I mean, I think a July 4th type of all-star tournament, if you will. I think that's a good start. I'd love to see it turn into like a World Series where the individual teams travel around and play each other. That would be ultimately better. Where who's got the best amateur team in
But
Massachusetts?
that's hard, brother, because
It is.
think about it. The better teams in this area in whole Massachusetts have collegiate players, and they have to be in school. They're not going to be
Right.
around. Then you got all the leagues have to fall in place and say, okay, we're going to take this week off, and that's not going to happen.
Right.
But now, if you tell the league you're going to be represented in this big tournament, and you bring your best players, and every league brings their best players. We're not talking EMAS. We're talking bigger. But we all gotta get on. We all gotta get on the horn and make it happen.
I like the idea. It's certainly worth the conversation. It's something that's going to be on the agenda for the next Cranberry League meeting because I'm sure there's going to be many conversations had between now and then. So, yeah, Omar, a great idea. I like it. We'll see if we can make this happen.
Perfect.
I mean, I'm looking at your schedule from this year, and you guys played July 2nd and that weekend, July 7th. So.
Yeah. Now the second fell on a what there, Dan? I think it fell on.
The second was a Tuesday, and then the 7th was the Sunday. So.
Oh wow.
I think it was just a couple teams, though, right? I think they stuck in. I think they tried to make up some games on that night. But
were they makeups? Yeah, it was.
I think they were makeups. Yeah, it was
two doubleheaders. Yeah, those two doubleheaders. Yeah.
Good. So you guys played 24 games from May to July.
Ultimately, we'd like to do more than that, but with 9 teams in the league this past year, and now we have currently 9 teams now. We'd be looking to play 24 again, play everybody 3 times. Now, if the Canton A's can get someone to take the team over, if we can find someone to take that organization over, and like I said, it's ready-made. People just have to have interest and prove to us they can do something with it. In that case, you'd have 9 opponents, and we would look for 27 games.
Okay. Now, one of the last questions we had here, my brother, before we go into the group question, we got a group question. You're the first guest that says, I want a group question. I want everyone in the panel to answer it, and I respect you for that, my brother. So, what is your vision for the future of the league, and what changes or improvements do you hope to see over the next 5 to 10 years in the Cranberry League?
I think we've done a good job of getting ahead of the times. For example, a concern I have is I don't know how long youth rec ball is going to last.
Okay.
Whether it's going to be 10 years, 20 years, whatever the case may be. A lot of the vision is kind of reliant on that. But I think we're already kind of out ahead of it because we have so many great AAU programs in Southeast Massachusetts. So, I would anticipate that we're going to see more and more programs want to come into the Cranberry League because their kids are going to be collegiate age. They're going to be playing in college. They're going to need a place to play. And I think we're going to add. What I'm envisioning is that we do what we can to get more and more kids out to play baseball. And the hardest part is going to get people to run the teams. That's going to be the hardest thing. I think getting the players is really not as hard as people think. pitching is getting position players. I don't think it's that difficult. Um, for the league, I ultimately, with the AAU factor, and hoping that these individual teams want to stay around, I'd like to see the Cranberry League get up to 12 teams. It happened once before, back in 2004. The trouble was, I'd say, of the 12 teams at that time, I think only 9 or 10 were truly reliable. There was a couple teams at the end of that year, they just folded because they just couldn't they just couldn't be competitive enough. They couldn't get enough players. That's what I see. And I think staying ahead of the times is really what we need to continue to do. If that's the vision, because if we do that, we're always going to be okay. For example, I mean, the evolution of the league. 6 o'clock games became very difficult because the demands of work have been work has been more demanding and demanding. So we got ahead of it saying, okay, we're all going to get fields that have lights, and we're going to have night games. So these kids can work till 5 o'clock. They don't have to absolutely hustle to get to the field. And now they're on the field. They barely warmed up. They haven't stretched at all. Okay, well, we're going to start games at 7 o'clock. The latest time is 8 o'clock. Whatever works. That's something we've done.
Now, Nate, with that comes a cost. How did
does.
you guys pivot with the cost?
Just through creative fundraising.
Okay.
I know one team.
Can you share some of them?
One team in the league I know, and part of this might be luck, but I know one team in the league told me they had this local guy that owned a construction business and was willing to fund the team $10,000.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow.
Jeez. Give me his number.
Incredible.
It's not easy finding sponsorships.
During COVID.
But a lot of this stuff for these companies is a tax write-off.
Yeah,
that's true.
Smart companies, take advantage of it.
And actually, I've heard this idea before. It was there are some corporations out there where if an employee gives a donation, the corporation will match that donation.
Yeah.
So there's that too. I've heard of it, and whether teams do that or not is another thing. During COVID, during the COVID year, one thing that we did was, we did the fundraising online. What was the name of it at the time? I think it was SnapRaise. SnapRaise was the company at the time.
Yeah.
Gold Athletics is the one I go with now. But at the time, it was SnapRaise, and during COVID, people were really dishing out money when it came to donations and such. So, there's some innovative stuff. I know down in I know there's a I don't want to say what school, but I've heard of things like hosting clam boils and hosting a clam boil night where you charge everybody such and such a head, all you can eat clam boil, and you have some raffle prizes along the way. Just buy so many raffles, put the tickets in a basket, read the raffles off at the end of the meal, and that sort of thing. Get donations from local businesses in town that will give gift certificates that you can use as a prize.
I used to do the Super Bowl squares.
Super Bowl squares is a very popular one, and I've seen that branch into the NCAA tournament. I've seen it branch into the NBA tournament in some way. I've seen it turn into the scores for in an NBA Finals game. Just like the Super Bowl. I've seen teams get really creative with that too. There's ways to fundraise. It's just a matter of which one's going to get you the biggest payoff. So long story short, all these teams have managed to be able to pay for fields. Um, so that hasn't been an issue as far as I know. I mean, uh, another thing here is, we've got ahead of roster construction. When there was uh, with players being a bit more entitled for playing time, and also with the emergence of the Futures Collegiate Baseball League, and the Futures Collegiate Baseball League has gotten a bit um, more interested in local players who can play at a high level. Um, we've had to adjust to that, and one because at the drop of a dime, any one of our players, I could get a text and saying, "Hey, coach, I got signed by the Brockton Rocks. So, hey, thanks for everything you did. Good luck on the rest of the season." And it's like, all right, what do you do now? But if you get ahead of it and you say, you can't run a team with just 20 guys on your roster anymore. You do that, you're going to put yourself in danger of forfeiting.
Yep.
When I first came back into the league, that's something I learned very fast. Because I tried to keep a small roster and get guys the playing time that they need, and that turned out being a colossal mistake. And so as time has gone by and the more these kids could get taken by a collegiate baseball program, we've had to increase our roster size. Like I tell these teams coming in the league, I said, you really should have 30 guys on your roster. And I said you should have double digits for guys that can pitch. You should have 10, 4 games a week. And now that gets into another thing where we've evolved. Like there's kind of like I don't want to say it's an unwritten rule, but we kind of, as a league, philosophically said, we've got to build some credibility with these college programs, and we can't be going in, taking their pitchers and having them throw 140 pitches. So when Ron and I when we got into Bourne especially, we started to go out and get some hard-throwing pitchers and say, okay, you're just coming back from the college season. We're going to build you up again. All right, we're going to go 60 tonight. All right, we're going to go 75 the next start. Now we're going to go at 85. And we'll look to see, once we start the playoffs, all right, now depending on the situation, we may look to push the limit over 100. But it's like, we're not going over 110. No way.
Yeah.
And I think college programs have been very appreciative of that we want their pitchers to go back to school in the same shape that we got them, if not stronger. I think the Cranberry League has always been special in this regard too. Kids can work full time and play in this league. That's competitive, and it'll keep their college coaches happy. They can still do their lifting. They can do all of this stuff. Because we only play 3 days a week. We play doubleheaders on Sundays. We play Tuesdays and Thursdays. That has allowed kids to work, as many as 6 days a week. So they're able to make some money. They're able to keep their college coaches happy. They're able to go get their lifts in. That's something that the league it's always been that way since I've been in it. And it was for that reason. So again, guys, it's just kind of like, what's kind of the next thing that's going to come? Like the end of rec ball. What does that mean? Is it going to be basically just, you're getting kids from AAU programs at that point? What are we going to do about that with our rosters at that time? So it's so vision for the league. The AAU aspect for us makes it easy. For the other leagues that don't have that, I don't know. There's going to be a lot of creativity. Now, to save this game, this is kind of big. I mean, to save this game, my message out there for anybody watching this is, if you are a high school player, or especially if you're a collegiate player, you love the game, you know the game, and you don't care, and you want to work with kids, go volunteer in your town's rec league. You know, if everybody's able to do that, it's really going to save this game. The AAU programs are great. You know, there's some really good AAU programs, and that's all well and good. But to really reach all the players that want to play baseball, man, I think our generation are the ones that really got to get involved and be willing to coach voluntarily and just teach little kids how to play and how to enjoy playing.
I think you're right. Yep. Yep. I mean, easier said than done, obviously.
It's a big ask.
Yeah.
But it's been a great show, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. Nate, thank you very much.
It's been a great show. But listen, the last question. Nate, you had a question for the group.
I asked you, okay, if Dave McKay, Walter, or a league president comes up to you, wants you to take on the last place team, won a couple, maybe 2 or 3 games the year before, team's not very good, such, and they want you to take it over because they feel you can turn that team into a competitor fairly quickly and maybe even a champion in 5 years. What would you do? Like, what would you do to make that last place team into a first place team, if you will? Like, what does it take?
I'd say hell no. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I've been there. I think we've all been there, probably. All managers here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a lot of work, like we were going back to with the managers, you know. I think that's why it's so hard, and I think we could have, you know, a whole show on the responsibilities of managers and what managers go through and what they need to do to get better. I know we talked a little bit about that this episode, but it's all about the person and how far they want to go to win.
Well,
I think that's really what it comes down to. I mean, back when I ran the Tigers and the BNBL, the 18 plus, I mean, I went above and beyond. I tried finding sponsors. I recruit players. You know, whatever it took to put the best team out on the field, and you run out of that energy. Like, you know, the first few years, it's, you know, great, and you have all this energy, and then it just, you know, it gets to be a lot after a while. But yeah, it's just about how much energy that manager wants to put in, how bad they want to win. From what I think.
it's not easy, man.
It's not easy. I mean, I think kind of what Nate's asking though is like, how would you go about building that team to a winner? I mean, I think the biggest thing, like Omar said earlier, it's starting with the management and getting these players to buy in. And the biggest thing is, I mean, I coach kids and I manage adults, and managing adults is awful because every player on there thinks they should be playing more than they do. So it's getting all these players to buy into a role that they have on that team and getting them to understand that they're going to be needed some point during that season. But I think the biggest thing is, we found the hardest part with men's league baseball is finding, like they always say, build a team up the middle. You know, a catcher, a pitcher, a shortstop, a center fielder. Finding those is hard because you need a catcher that can control the run game. You need dominant pitching, which is very hard. As I mean, Omar will tell you,
That's the hardest thing to get.
Those pitchers didn't drop into our lap overnight, and it's just building a team atmosphere, because these men just, like dealing with men, they don't want to admit that they're not as good as they used to be, or that this player is better than them, or this player deserves to play more than them. They all think they should play, and it's getting guys to buy into one goal, which is winning a championship.
Yeah, my first question is always to all my players: do you know anyone that is looking to play baseball? I'm sure.
Yep.
Same for you guys, but it's all about networking.
Mm-hmm.
Nate
It's
is
not
frozen.
easy.
Nate's frozen in time.
Nate, my man, but thank you for getting on the show, Nate.
Thanks, guys. It was an absolute pleasure.
All right, thanks, Nate.
Once again,
Thank you, Nate.
cranberryleague.com.
Merry Christmas.
Yes,
Merry
Christmas, my brother.
Happy New Year, and thanks for being our last guest of 2024.
And Omar will call you in 10 minutes.
No, 5.
I was trying to be generous, Omar.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Nate.
All right, Merry Christmas, guys.
All right,
Take
Merry
care.
Christmas. Have a good night. All right, last episode of the year, boys.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
getting
That
sick.
was good. That was insightful. I mean, listen to how they deal with it. That league's been around a while. You know, having commissions like that, I mean, I'm new to the game, and, you know, just hear guys like that who have been around this for a while. It's pretty interesting and eye-opening to see, like, they're dealing with struggles just like we are. You know,
But it was also drama-free from what it sounded like, which is...
I'm sure he wasn't going to let us in a lot of that, though,
Oh,
if there
yeah.
was any.
Yeah, nobody's gonna
right.
talk about the
Yeah, but...
and the shit that's going on inside.
Right.
Every league that you do with adults, there's something going on.
Yeah.
Always.
Like, they seem to be open to the, you know, unity and of Boston baseball or amateur baseball masters in general. I love the idea of a tournament to find out which league, I mean, for that particular year, I mean, it could be any year, but that particular year has the best players.
He don't
and
want
puts
the
together
smoke.
the best team.
He does not want the smoke. He doesn't want the smoke. He said it. Like, I don't know. We want the smoke.
It's just a lot of work. These are volunteer jobs, you know.
It's like when you run by something at work and they're like, "Let me send it up the chain."
Yeah, but the way I feel is like these leagues are supposed to be fun, you know, like bring new excitement for the players. Because if you tell a player, you know what, we got this exciting tournament. Oh yeah, what? They're gonna want to play.
Yeah.
You know, and we're stripping these kids from this because everyone's on their agenda. Like, oh, let me see if I can do it. And maybe, and I'm not saying Nate, not at all. Everybody in general, I got to see if it fits my schedule. Yeah. And it's about the kids, man. Like, stop.
You know what? It'd be league pride. It'd be league pride.
That should be dope.
I play in the league that won the Eastern Mass tournament.
We're gonna have to change the name because I talked to McKay. I sent him. He goes, "Oh, that was mine." I'm like, "Bro,
it needs a new name."
This is Boston baseball. That's what it is. This is Boston baseball, the tournament.
Sure.
This is Boston baseball, the tournament.
Yeah,
we'll sponsor it.
And I can tell you, I mean, he has a little advantage because there's no competition for them down the South Shore. I mean, I grew up on the South Shore, and the Cranberry League is what you heard about. It was always the Cranberry League. I didn't even know about the leagues in Boston until our league folded in the South Shore, and we got moved. We went and played in the at the time I think it was the MABL, but we went and played in it. I didn't know about the Boston leagues. The Cranberry League is what you heard about on the South Shore.
I'm trying to tell you, and he said it himself. All these leagues in Boston have always been fighting against each other, trying to, you know, and those guys have no other competition.
No.
So it's easy for them. So CHBL is going to South Shore.
CHBL South Shore, baby.
We're going to South Shore, baby. But you see what I'm saying? Like, but it's real talk. Like, at the end of the day, it's about trying to get the baseball experience back and doing different shit. Imagine a tournament, July 4th, like you could take the whole week. You could take Sunday through Saturday off. All the leagues, Saturday through Sunday. Just don't play on July 4th.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You can do it, and you can get the players. Now, if you want to get one team, no, you're not going to get everybody's best. But if you can do a league, you can get good players, and everybody represents your league.
Well,
see, Dan, Omar would do that to me. I moved to the North Shore. He'd start a league in the South Shore.
Right.
That's
I moved up here as well. Yeah.
But no, I
think a big part of it is, you know, the married fellas. You know, they don't get many free weekends during the baseball.
Yeah, but the
season.
married fellas ain't playing in this tournament. You want them young bucks.
Yeah, it'd be like the 18-plus crowd.
Yeah, you want the 22, 23, 24-year-olds.
Right.
The best players. This is the best tournament.
Well, I feel like the best players in the BNBL, at least, all due respect, are the 28-plus players. But those guys
have never been a part of these type of tournaments. The BNBL has never been a part of the
saying in general. I think
the BNBL has never been a part of the EMAS Classic.
But I
think in general, I think
28 plus.
The 18. Yeah,
Nah.
I think back
If
in
you
the day.
if you look at Yawkey, 18 plus.
Yeah,
But how many of them?
18.
But how many of them
Inner,
are 18?
North Shore. No, but it's still 18 plus. Like
I
it's
know,
not.
but
If you guys want to, you know what? You guys want to put a team, you can put a team in. Fine. But the
maybe. I
problem
mean, I
is
hope it happens.
your better players are going to be playing on the other leagues.
yeah. I like the idea of unity. I like the idea of this, like bringing everything together and
Let's play.
building a
Let's have
brotherhood. I
fun.
like it.
It's fun, bro. Have barbecues.
Except for those
Why
players
not?
that play in both or multiple leagues.
You're gonna have
They
you're gonna have to
one.
choose. You're gonna
No, but I
have to
think it'd be
choose.
cool if, like the board members chose who they thought were the best players in the league to represent the league. I think that'd be cool, and then obviously they'd have to be available. But you could have like an online live draft.
But
We're sending
I don't.
these players.
I think we got to get the leagues involved. All the leagues.
Obviously, yes. That's the
What
first
leagues
step.
we can get involved? The top tier leagues. You do a Sunday through Saturday. That's it. The July 4th weekend. I don't know when does July 4th stand. Wednesday.
Good question.
So you do
So-
Sunday.
We out last year. It was what third.
I should probably know that since my birthday's the day before, but I forgot when my birthday was last year.
Yeah.
God
so.
damn it!
As you get older, you tend to forget these things.
No, but I'm telling you. Hold on, I'm gonna look it up right
For
now. Hold on.
last year.
The 7th
Damn,
is Monday.
You slow, bro.
It's a Friday.
It's a Friday.
Oh, there you
So
go.
July. So you can do June 29th to July 5th.
Yeah.
Boom.
You won't be there.
Let's do it. Make it happen.
I agree.
That's a good one right there.
But fellas, that's a wrap on 2024, as far as this podcast is concerned, of course. But we're gonna have Christine on January 5th. You won't want to miss that one. Should be pretty entertaining for those who know.
Newly minted
Christine.
Hall of Famer.
That's right. Yep, semi-pro baseball Hall of Fame, BNBL Hall of Fame. He's quite the character, so that should be a good one to start the new year. January 5th, 8 o'clock.
We should have had him on today. He looks like Santa Claus.
Yeah, he doesn't even need a hat or the beard and all that.
Santa Claus.
But yeah,
All right, guys.
hope you guys have a happy holidays, happy New Year, and be safe. You guys,
Merry
too.
Christmas.
Yeah, and be looking out soon for that BBA, the Boston Baseball Association beer, baby. Look out soon for that.
Get that
It's
plug
the
in.
it's the BBA way.
Yep.
BBA.
Don't be hating, Daniel, because we're gonna have the best beer in the market, bro.
Yep.
Oh, I
and
forgot
where
about
we
the beer.
going? No, wait, we're going to Abington. Abington on a Sunday.
Cranberry League territory right around there, South Shore.
Yes, you
Oh,
know
yeah.
what?
That's
The
true.
BBA beer is gonna be the sponsor of the Cranberry League. Dog, it's all meant to be.
Yes.
And then
I love
Dan's gonna have to buy a couple of 4-packs,
Yep.
at least 7.
7. I like that.
Well, Rob, thank you for getting
Yes,
on tonight.
thanks,
I
Rob.
appreciate it, guys.
Merry Christmas to you guys. Rob, I'm sure I'm gonna talk to you.
Oh, yeah.
Dan, I'm gonna talk to you too.
Yes, sir.
So, next is Dean, right?
Christine, baby.
Christine.
All right, guys, have a good night.
All right, you too.
All right, guys. Good night. We will see
Good night.
you. See you next time. Happy New Year. Where's my goodbye? I can't find it. But we have to end the show with it. Where is it? Oh, the hell is it? It's gone. All right, guys. Have a good night.